We promised you on Tuesday this same week. We told you we'll be coming back today on Thursday to continue with your favorite program, Issues of the Moment. Remember, this same week we talked about the political crisis in River State. Today we are talking about the disobedience of the court order by the River State sole administrator, and who had a court order, court injunction, barring him from appointing local government chairman. And we know what that means under in a democratic setting. And the Supreme Court, it is against the rule of the Supreme Court that says that there must be democratically elected chairman. Even the governors were stopped from appointing transition chairman and so on. And the governors obeyed. And then how come it's happening this way? Today we are going to look at that and a few more other things. And as usual with me in the studio, from my left is no other person but Comrade Nnamdi Elekwachi. Comrade Nnamdi Elekwachi, as you all know, is a historian, a political affairs analyst, and a human resource personnel. He's also a televangelist. Comrade, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. Good day, viewers.
And I am your anchorman, Chinedum Godson Adiele, as usual. And today, comrade, with what is happening in River State, do you think that it's just like the saying in Igbo parlance, that a son whose father sent to steal breaks the door with his two legs? Do you think that is what is happening in River State?
Yes, obviously that is what is happening in River State. That illegality is also creating an illegality. Because in the first place, there is nowhere, I did say it and I have been saying it and I will keep saying it, in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999 as amended, upon which the president relied to proclaim emergency in River State, where you have that word, suspend, mentioned, or suspension contemplated, then there is no provision for sole administratorship. So what we have today is an abuse of the Constitution. And we have a lot of court pronouncements, including the one from Supreme Court, saying only democratically elected council governments shall be allowed to receive statutory transfer from the Accountant General of the Federation with direction, express direction given to the Attorney General of the Federation to implement this. But unfortunately, we are seeing something different. The same federal government that went to court seeking interpretation to sections 162 and other sections, even section 7 of the Nigerian Constitution, as it may have to do with administration of local government, is the same. Now deploying an individual, a retired military officer, saying go and be the administrator in River State, and it's also empowering such a person to create government at the councils against what the Supreme Court has said. And we are aware that given the judgment by the Supreme Court suspending or even vacating the councils or the government at the councils, and then the suspension of the governor, we are having vacuum, and now the battle for structure is also being exhibited. That at the state level, you now have someone who does not have the blessing and support and the vote of the people. Then going to create at the council level, the grassroots level, similar thing. It simply means that people are no longer anywhere represented in their government, whether at the grassroots level where you have the councillors as representative of the chairman or the chair ladies, if you like, as their executive heads. Then at the state level too. So what is happening now is that for River State, there is only one tier of government functioning, and that the Constitution, in the words of Adele, has been suspended. What is playing out now is what? Grab for power.
Okay, looking at that, a few days ago, it was all over the social media, and even from Greenhorns also, that the minister of FCT with the sacked members of River State House of Assembly, they were really enjoying themselves partying in London.
Yes.
In London. Do you think, or rather, do you think they were celebrating the same thing?
Yes, I would want to believe that, because there was a video, also a clip of Wike telling these lawmakers to relax, that their own time to rejoice is was actually coming. Wike said it, so that they should relax at the time to. So perhaps it's their time to rejoice. Now something is happening. Let me shock you now. Do you know that even if this man, Abbas of a man, should land local government authorities, whether tentatively or anything, the only power that can sack such would come from the House of Assembly, because the Constitution is expressed in Section 7, I think, either Section 7 or 4, saying that the state government shall see to the existence, composition, structure of local government, which means it is through the state laws. Don't also forget that RISEC will be the one to do what? To conduct the elections at the grassroots level. Then, if the RISEC, if there is an appointment to be made there too, it must be sanctioned by the House of Assembly. Now, the governor is not having it rosy with the House of Assembly. It means that if this man succeeds putting these people here, the governor may not have much powers to even remove them through the House of Assembly. I'm following the point. So it simply means that the structure will now definitely go back to Nyesom Wike, and that is one thing he may be praying and asking the president to do for him. Because like I said before, there is no government since 1960, elected government, I don't mean military government, that has been able to control the oil resources or the oil wealth or the oil resource of Rivers State, together with the resources coming from the corporate world in Lagos State. The combination of both simply tells you that this is, in fact, you have the war chest, you have the arsenal to launch into the political space come 2027.
All right, looking at this and also looking at 2027, that is almost at hand, and then what would you think would happen? Now that Mr. President has done this, and this man, the sole administrator, has gone ahead to play out their script, do you think that the masses, if power belongs to the people, do you think that the river people have nothing at all to do concerning this?
This is a Nigerian context. It's only maybe rare occasions where you see power belonging to the people. In a situation like this, I don't know what, because we're talking about the same people who have been denied the dividends of democracy. I say they are not represented anywhere at the grassroots level, then at the state level. Mr. Moderator, you have 3 tiers of government, and these 3 tiers of government must be represented in every state. In Rivers State, only one is there. All what you are saying is the grab.
Even the one that is there in Rivers State is even illegal.
Yeah, it's illegal. It's what I'm saying. That what is happening now is the federal government controlling or calling the shots, acquiring more powers than constitutional. It is clear. So, what will the people do? They cannot do much because they have been boxing together unless there is resort to civil disobedience or lawful engagement or protest or peaceful protest to drive home their demand or to engage. The only thing they can do now is to go to court, which Ireland's PDP is doing, and then some persons are doing. But don't forget that even before that time, we had a court express injunction from the court saying, do not try to meddle in the grassroots affairs. But this man had gone against that directive. The question we should be asking is, there is no constitutional provision creating this office this man is occupying. There is no law, extant law in Rivers State that said a sole administrator shall actually rule. And I said here, sole administratorship, when you hear the word sole, is one man thing.
One man thing.
So now, the question should be, where is this man taking his instruction from? We are aware that the Constitution is not instructing him. The courts are not even empowering him for now until there is a clear interpretation from the judicial. We will have the judicial interpretation saying sole administratorship is fine. For now, there is no legal back for this office and for what else he has been doing. Now, when he was actually being inaugurated, the president said he can only make regulations and not laws. What does it take to sack or to even appoint people to be at the grassroots? It is law.
It is law.
So if it is not law in this instance, then it is a decree.
Because it's a military person.
Because it's a military person. A former military person, you might well say.
Yeah.
So to me, I think we are just trying to abuse and subvert our processes. And it's not going to help us because we are creating precedent. Now, those, including those who are in the House of Assembly now, who are rejoicing, one day one of them may be governors. Who knows what will happen? If they are at the receiving end, will they also cry out? So that's why they've been singing day your day, and all of those stuff. But then, who suffers? Who is suffering?
Now, a statement on air today, it was on news. I've forgotten his name, who now asked Fubara to go to Abuja, kneel down, and plead with his predecessor. That is Nyesom Wike. Do you buy that idea?
I don't buy the idea. Why will he go? You see, we make a lot of mistakes in this country. Fubara is the executive governor of Rivers State, even as he stands today, in the eyes of the law. I said, there is no interpretation saying he is suspended by the judiciary. That's what we are waiting. And that's why we say he's the last hope of the common man. You understand? Now, what has happened is that the president has actually gone beyond the constitution, the constitutional limits, to proclaim emergency and then furthering it with a suspension. The constitution is clear that the president shall proclaim an emergency, but it shall be upon invitation from the governor, backed by the majority of the House of Assembly, saying there is chaos, there is disorder, there is breakdown of law and order here. And the president can now proclaim. You understand? But there is no invitation to the president by the governor. The president now had to rely upon section 305, subsection 5 of section 305, where the constitution said, after a reasonable time, the governor failed to notify the president may have to intervene. Now, what is the meaning of reasonable time?
Reasonable time.
What length of time? Is it months, days, weeks, centuries, years, decades? What translates to? What does it mean?
Let me also comment there. I know you're not a lawyer, but you're vast.
I am a layman who can argue a point of law.
Yes. Now, do you think with what is happening right now, talking about that section 305,
yes,
and so on, that the question is, at what point is the president supposed to come in when you're talking about a reasonable time? And then what will be the degree of crisis that will bring in? Because as far as I am concerned, the River State had been in peace, if not for the House of Assembly member,
the bomb scare, and then explosion of the pipelines.
Now that of the pipeline came in later, and then we've always experienced that.
Yeah.
Now, do you think that the coming in of the intervention of Mr. President is in order? Is that appropriate?
It's not in order. It's abuse. In fact, I think it's an overreach, and let's also call it what it is. That's militarization. In Nigeria, I've said it here times without number, that the only time we remember to proclaim emergency is when there is misunderstanding, or when it is politically motivated. We don't even remember that disasters can actually necessitate emergency declaration when there is a public health issue or danger. When there is public health issue or danger, a governor or the president can actually declare emergency to safeguard or to make sure that there is safeguard public health. Then again, the question you ask is very, very important. What the president has done is to use militarization or to use kinetic force to bring Rivers State under military jackboots. It's not done. It's not in his powers to do that. But then, unfortunately, the constitution, like we said, is clear. But the problem remains that the people in power in Nigeria usually rely on lacuna. When the constitution is silent and not being contemplative or not saying something clearly, they rely on that. The constitution did not say the number of days, weeks, years, or even centuries that would constitute or that would actually be tantamount that could be tantamount to reasonable time. He just said after a reasonable time. Now the president in his speech now said the governor neglected him. Then the governor failed to secure those pipelines, and the governor was overambitious, re-echoing the words of the Supreme Court judgment that actually told the governor to go and represent the 2025 budget before the House.
Now, looking at that, talking about the governor and then even Mr. President. This Mr. President invited the governor and I think just a week
sometime last year,
and the members of the House of Assembly, and he obeyed the president. which was later used against him, even as we talk, even at the Supreme Court.
Yes.
When he withdrew, the suit, before that. And then, do we now say that the governor, without mincing words, that Mr. President is dancing to the tune of his FCT minister?
Yes. That's where the president is taking his instruction from. Look at those 8-point resolution or the 8-point resolution. Look at those resolutions. Go and look at the 8-point resolution and study clearly. You will see that virtually everything was against the governor except 1 or 2 out of the 8. Do you know that the president, even the understanding, the president said that if the House of Assembly members want to defect, they should be allowed to defect. That's not right. The president
because they are defecting to his party,
misinterpreting the constitution. The constitution is clear that when there is no problem in a party that supported a candidate and the candidate is leaving that political party, especially a legislative seat, not with application to the office of the president and the governor, then who enjoy immunity. Don't forget, when a legislator is defecting, when there is no problem in the party that supported him to win the election, it simply means that seat is vacant. But the governor was trying to trigger that clause of the constitution, that provision of the constitution, and he had a good case that time. The president said all parties must withdraw their cases. The governor listened to the president, but those who were having issues with him did not do the same. Then we also what happened. The Supreme Court now said, having withdrawn this case, you have accorded recognition impliedly on this house. Therefore, go back and give them your budget, which the governor tried to do twice or once and was shut out. And then we heard that the house was saying the governor did not address them properly. And I was asking, the house we know of in River State was destroyed either by bombers or by any incident. What is the physical address of this house?
Let me quickly ask you this. By the verdict of the Supreme Court, are the Supreme Court not aware that Mr. President ordered them to withdraw all this? Why is it now against Fubara alone?
The Supreme Court is not even looking at the president because the president is not a subject. He's not a party to the whole thing. But that's why I'm saying the president showed his kind of person. He just revealed himself that he is pro-godfatherism. And this is me talking, that he is for Godfather. He is a godfather. We all know he's the godfather of Lagos politics. Yeah. Now he's supporting that too, because that is what he believes will help him secure his ambition come 2027.
Considering the financial position of River State as the oil state of the nation, and then the River State, the Lagos State, do you think that there is a conspiracy for these two big states to come together?
There could be plan. I wouldn't strongly say conspiracy, but I could say a plot.
Okay.
It's a plot. All the things are in politics. Whether you want to talk about Machiavellian politics, you talk about realism in politics, you talk about idealism. To be realistic, what is happening now bears the undercurrent of political machination and political exploitation. It is being done for the political survival of people who feel that if they do not have certain states, having played the kind of politics they've played, having tested and gauged their popularity, may not be that successful come 2027. So all of these things are part of the political permutation we are seeing.
All right, looking at the likes of Goodluck Jonathan, who has condemned what Mr. President did, Bode George, these are people that matter so much in this country. And Mr. Goodluck Jonathan has been a president of this country.
Exactly.
And then, and so many others, the likes of Obasanjo that have condemned all this. Can they come together and do something, since we know that this is illegality upon illegality?
Obasanjo doesn't have anything to do here. He even began it in the current dispensation. He did it in Plateau State.
But that of the Plateau was of the same party.
I'm coming. He did it in Plateau State.
Okay.
It doesn't matter whether it is the party. I'm not looking at it from the party angle. I'm looking at it from the prism or from the place of IGR, intergovernmental relations. Mr. Moderator, how do governments, these tiers of government, how do they relate? Where does the power of one stop and where does the power of the others begin? The Constitution is the one to spell out where your functions stop or where or where they begin. You should not exceed them. What we are seeing today is the president go beyond. Obasanjo did it in exercise of emergency declaration or proclamation in the state. No no tier of government, be it states, be it federal, has the power to sack another tier, another elected authority. It is clear. You understand? So what the president, what Obasanjo did in 2004 and 2006, with respect, with reference to Plateau and later Ekiti State, is what Tinubu is trying to reenact. But it's unfortunate. Like Good actually said, this thing is happening because the legislature and the judiciary, who should be performing their duty under the notion of checks and balances and separation of powers and functions, appear to be sleeping. But to me, they are not sleeping. They are suffering from paralysis with the way they have, the way they've been going. If they cannot perform their functions, the duty to all Nigerians, it simply means politically they have been paralyzed, and that is a danger. It's a threat to the notion of separation of powers and functions, and also to the notion of checks and balances. For democracy to thrive, one organ must check the other organ. That's checks and balances. Then separation of powers means no government, no arm shall acquire the responsibilities or even try to co-opt the other arm to act like an appendage of the former.
This when you talk about paralysis, there are always costs to every element. And don't you think that Nigerians' case is becoming worse because because of the quest for money? Every person wants to be rich, and that is why Nigeria, as it is not supposed to be this poor the way it is.
Yes.
The people are not supposed to suffer what they are suffering,
yes,
as we speak. But because everybody wants to be a trillionaire and then let others suffer, and when this Ghana must go exchanges hands, anything can happen.
Yeah.
Then how long do we continue with this? And how can we stop it?
Mr. Moderator, it's unfortunate one for us. We have system being operated by those who believe in deployment of bullion vans to win election. So they need money. I was watching interviews, video clips. I was seeing people like Tinubu. I was seeing people like so I'm talking about 1998, 1999. I'm not saying that they were not even well off materially by then, but from the way I saw them, these guys were not, they were not looking as fresh as they look today. I saw, and I can actually make that picture public. I saw Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and I remember that saying for assertive representation in the Senate. That was the slogan he used in 1992. I looked at his picture then. Look at his picture now. He's even looking better now than then. So these people and their hangers-on believe in one thing. In most cases, it is only through political power that wealth is gotten. So for them to be relevant, both politically, economically, anyhow, they believe it is how they are able to maintain the grip, that hold. And I called it state capture, and I defined it the other day. A system where all the other all organs of government seem to be in the league. You understand? And then you have this kind of romance existing amongst them. I did tell you here that when Buhari came in 2015, he sought to control the National Assembly, but failed to achieve that because Saraki emerged. We know how he emerged. Now he later operated or even manipulated the system to give him Ahmed Lawan, who supported him. And we saw how Buhari violated the laws and the constitution. Later, he, in an attempt to control the judiciary too, he removed Walter Onogen, Chief Justice of the Federation. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Now, look at what Tinubu is doing. When Tinubu was elected, he, as an elected president, not even president yet, president-elect, he chose those to rule or to guide or to govern the National Assembly. That is illegality. It shouldn't happen. The National Assembly is a co-equal arm of government that should be independent of the executive. But unfortunately, Tinubu wrote down the names of those. Which names did we see? We all talked about it here on this platform.
Yeah.
He chose Akpabio. He chose Barao to be his second man. Then he chose Tajuddin Abbas. And then Benjamin Kalu to be his second man. So, what are we talking about? Tinubu already has the kind of National Assembly he wants.
All right.
And that is why it is easy or easier for Nigerians to establish, even when they have no clear evidence, that there is bribery going on.
All right, before we go ahead talking about 3 tiers of government, it is not only in the federal, even in the states. Even in Abia State.
Governors are also controlling the other tiers of government. It's true, and we must have to say it. They want to control the court. They appoint the chief judges of the state, who is the chief judge of the state's high court. They appoint them. Sometimes they even underfund them. What was Buhari seeking to achieve with executive order number 10, allow these courts, allow this judiciary, allow the judiciary to be free in your state. And that was it. And they untwisted him.
All right, before we bow out here, what do you think will be the fate of the River State with the way things are going? And then when we talk about this appointment of the local government chairman that the court stopped, and then with the flagrant disobedience, and this man has continued, what do you think it can? And most of these people appointed should also be the directives of Nyesom Wike.
It's possible.
So what's the fate of the
know.
River
You know, whatever I have to say now is this: River State is now being controlled by the federal government at state level and at the grassroots level, and the federal government is the one being led by Tinubu, in which Wike is a cabinet member. Are you following the point? Yeah. Wike is there, of which Wike is a cabinet member. So now let's understand this. The fate of Rivers people is unfortunate, is now lying before God and the judiciary. If the judiciary gives an interpretation saying this is a notion of illegalities against our constitution, it should not stand. That is the only thing that would...
Talking about the judiciary...
If there is any divine intervention, I don't know how. Maybe that's God working. But then, I will tell you something. I believe River State people should take this matter up. They should challenge this, seek interpretation, seek redress.
All right, just in a few words. When talking about the judiciary, don't you think that the judiciary is already owned? A lot of Nigerians said the judiciary is no more the hope. It's no more the hope of the common man.
Exactly.
And a lot of people have lost confidence, especially after 2023 general election and so on. And so, talking about the judiciary now, do you think anything will come out of it?
Yes, in most cases we may see something different. In rare cases, anyway, not most cases, because I remember vividly. There is, in fact. When you look at the judiciary, the problem we have is that some cases they make technical interpretations and even things that you begin to wonder. Look at what happened in Labour Party. The judgment was not decisive. It did not say Apapa William should not come. Even Abude should remain sacked. You understand? And vacate and should vacate that office.
Okay, that's it.
Or even saying he did not recognize any party to the dispute. I follow the point. So, in most cases, you could ask, what interest does the judiciary have? And it becomes a problem. In this case now, I do not know, but I have stated here that we have a system where the judiciary, the legislators, and then the executive seem to be working in cahoots. And I'll tell you something. When President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was sworn in, his first intervention was to give the National Assembly 70 billion naira. And the judiciary, 35 billion naira. He told them it was for them to do what? To settle in. I'm using this English. So people believe now that there is a level of bribery going on, even when they cannot prove. That
all right.
They can, So that the judiciary may likely obey or toe the line of the executive against popular will, which is democracy. But then, unfortunately, what we have today in River State is not democracy. Far from it, you cannot have someone unelected, appoint people unelected to govern. Even when we are here criticizing those appointed by the elected, governors elected will now appoint unelected persons to act as caretaker committee chairman, transition chairman, and whatever you call them. Now we are having a system where someone not even elected, not even from the state, is even appointed.
This station contributed immensely towards making sure we have democratically elected
interventions and
our interventions and
our
so on.
programs. Yeah.
That topic was severally discussed, and then thank God we achieved that. Well, our wonderful viewers, this is where we'll be drawing the curtain for now. Remember, we have 3 tiers of government, and each should stand aloof of its own and then make their decision for a proper and effective checks and balances. Unfortunately, that's not what we're seeing here in Nigeria. And then the question becomes, where do we go from here? And what is the fate of the River State people, especially Fubara, who thought he had come to ensure that the dividends of democracy would get to his people, and that was why he disagreed with the so-called Godfatherism. And unfortunately, look at what he's suffering. And the man could say, go to Abuja, kneel down and beg. Beg for what? And this is where we draw the curtain. Until we come your way again on Tuesday, we're going to come with some more important and delivering topics. With me in the studio is Comrade Nnamdi Elekwachi. Comrade, we thank you for being part of today's program again.
My pleasure anytime.
And this is your anchor man, Chinedum Godson Adele. Keep it there with us. Bye for now.